So our next topic is spread of Industrial Revolution. Originating in England, the Industrial Revolution first spread to its neighboring countries like Belgium, France and Germany. So after industrialization in England, then in neighboring countries industrialization is happened. Basically in the neighboring countries like Belgium, France and Germany. And soon after it swept across the whole of Europe and United States of America. Initially, other countries copied technology from England. Okay, they copied the technology from the England, and however, later they developed their capabilities, and countries like Germany and the USA surged ahead of England. And the USA soon became the leading industrialized nation of the world. And after some time, USA able to hold all the technology, and they leading the industrialized nation of the world. And Japan was the first Asian country to be industrialized. And industrialization in Russia started after the Russian Revolution in 1917. And after the Second World War, industrialization spread to the whole world. So after Second World War, this industrialization spread out to all the places of the world. And impact of Industrial Revolution. So what was the impact of Industrial Revolution? The Industrial Revolution not only marks the dawn of new technology and innovation, it changed the very structure of human society. So it is only not for the helpful for the people, and this also create the strong structure of the society and radically transforming in economy, and economy also developed, and politics and organizations also developed with the help of Industrial Revolution. And decline of feudalism and rise of capitalism. The Industrial Revolution marked the final phase of transformation from medieval feudalism to modern capitalism. So this method are changed, that from medieval feudalism to capitalism. The Western world witnessed the rise of a full-fledged capitalist economy. So in this way, the Western world placed as a full-fledged capitalist economy and based on large-scale commodity products and market economy, and all these things are based on market economy. With the dawn of Industrial Revolution, merchants and small businessmen began to accumulate wealth and political influence. Soon the feudal landlords, who had enjoyed economic and political dominance earlier, lost their influence, and there was rise of the wealthy and powerful capitalist class. The capitalist class further influenced the government policies, which advanced their vested interest and political power. So the capitalist class further influenced the government policies, and which advanced their vested interest in political power. And expansion of trade and commerce. The increase of manufactured products in industrialized countries compelled them to sell surplus goods. They can able to produce more products as compared to their needs, and these surplus goods they can trade, or they can import, they can export these things in all the countries, and this led to the increase in import and export between different countries of the world. And this way exporting importing activities are increased, and also demand for raw materials to feed growing industries prompted industrialized nation to look for nation having abundant and cheap natural resources, and to make profit industrialized countries continuously search for new market to sell their finished products, resulting in expansion of overseas trade and commerce. Next is factory system of production. Large scale production using machinery marked a departure from the old system of domestic manufacturing. So there was previous time there was the domestic manufacturing system, but after the innovation of the industries, that with the help of industry we can easily produce large scale, and thus the factory system immediately replaced domestic system of the product, and in this way the domestic system totally changed as factory system. And rise of the middle class. An industrial revolution resulted in the rise of a new social class, middle class, because before this one there was only two class, upper class and lower class, but there the middle class and another class is involved, and this appeared between the capitalist and the working class, and it consists of skilled workers, managers, clerks, accountants and others. These are under this middle class. Economic and social disparity. Industrial revolution led to the dependence of the economy on capital, and the rich capitalist owned and controlled the means of production, and they assumed immense wealth to the expense of working class who were given minimum wages, and this resulted in economic and social inequality. So in that time what happened, some people, those are preferable for these kinds of industrial activity, they easily expanded their economy, and the another class are actually suffer some problem, those are not habituated with these kinds of activity. And this way one inequality is happened, and wherein a few capitalists control the lives of the working class and had access the wealth and influence, and the those are placed as a richer people, those have the money, they was the higher position of the society, and they control all the activities. Next is urbanization. The industrial revolution led to mass migration of people from rural areas to urban areas, and mechanization of agriculture rendered many people in village unemployed. Okay, so with this industrial activity, many people they leave their agricultural activity and they come into the cities and they join with the industrial activity, and most of them came looking for job in the industrialized cities and towns. And division of labor, people working in factories were assigned specific tasks which suited their expertise and skills, and this division of labor proved useful in producing quality product. So the labors also divided in two ways, skilled and unskilled, and the skilled labor, they can produce the product very qualityfully. Harsh living condition in cities. In wake of the mass migration of people from villages, the new industrialized cities grew unchecked and unplanned. These cities became overpopulated, forcing many to live in small spaces, and countless slums grew in no time, and where people live in unhygienic conditions, and these squalid conditions lead to diseases like cholera, smallpox, influenza and typhoid. So that when lots of people they gather in a cities, one unhygienic condition is happened, and in this way the diseases are also spread out, that like cholera, smallpox, influenza and typhoid, and many widespread epidemics were recorded in London during 1803 to 1846, and which claimed thousands of human lives, mostly slum dwellers. Next is exploitation of workers. Industrial revolution marked the beginning of mass employment in the human history. The capitalists exploited the workers and paid them measly wages. There was no concept of workers' right and they were forced to work for low wages and in inhuman working conditions. So the workers did not have any job security and could be fired anytime. So there have not any kind of job security, and the capitalists exploited the workers. They always tried to exploit the workers and paid them measly wages. They paid very less amount of wages, but they are worked lots, but their wages was very less. And in this way sometime that working are that labor's unrest is happened, and the workers did not have any job security and could be fired anytime, and they can be rejected from the industries any time, and there were no security, and there were no definite working hours, and the workers were made to work for as long as 16 hours, and the laborers needed to work up to 16 hours, and no compensation was given to worker in case of injury or death while working. So there have not any kind of compensation or damage money, security money, if they are injured or dead. Next is child labor. Children were employed in large number in factories and mines, and they did almost as much work as adults for extremely low wages, and no government laws was in place to protect these children from the wealth and exploitation of brutal capitalists who were adamant to exploit their labor to accumulate the surplus capital. Next is formation of trade union. The exploitation of the working class by the capitalists led to various protests by the workers. So when the workers they realized that always capitalists they try to force them, then they actually gathered and they form a union, and the workers are unified and organized themselves into labor union, and they form labor union or trade union, and which fought to protect the rights and interest of workers. And this trade union wanted to ensure, and why they formed, for some facilities, that they increase of minimum wages, they can able to increase the minimum wages as their demand, and better working condition, and in this way they can able to do the work in better way, and the enforce workplace rules and workplace rules, and ensure owners listen to the complaints and demands for workers, and achieve benefits like retirement and healthcare for laborers. They can able to achieve the benefits like retirement and healthcare for laborers, and create certain laws to guarantee rights of both employee and employer. The right to achieve these rights was not easy, as the capitalists resisted implementation of labor rights. But this was not so easy, and this led to numerous violent clashes between laborers and capitalists. So there was some numerous violent clashes when they try to demand these things, and resulting in death of thousands of people over many years. And if capitalists they want to uh, reject their proposal, and they are also violated, and they do some humiliating work, and in this way thousands of people lost their life. After a long struggle, it was only in the late 19th and early 20th century that important labor rights and factory laws were implemented, and which guaranteed better working conditions for the working class. And socialism and communalism. The ideologies of socialism and communalism emerged as critics of capitalism and the power of the capitalists who exploited the working classes. And Karl Marx, a German philosopher and economist, was the earliest champion of workers' rights, and he, along with Friedrich Engels, a political philosopher and socialist leader. So, socialism and communalism mean that socially they do or they done some activities, and there was a concept of communalism. And Friedrich Engels, a political philosopher and socialist leader, advocated a classes society. They advocated a classes society in which means of production would be collectively owned. Okay, so these are known as socialism and communalism.